Good evening once again to Irish Television Chicago. My name is Tom Looney, my co-host Siobahn and Bhuachalla. We have, as usual, our sponsorship from the Irish American Heritage Centre and a very interesting show for you. Siobahn?
Yeah, and not only have we an interesting show, but of course this is a very interesting time in Ireland if anyone's planning to visit there. And even if you're not, we'll tell you about it because this is festival time in Ireland. There is of course the wonderful Ballybunion Bachelor Festival where all those unmarried men can go and find wives, all from the vicinity of Ballybunion and other places. The Mary from Dunloe Festival, of course. My favourite is the Enniscorthy Strawberry Festival, where it's a case of all you can eat, which just makes me happy for the whole month. And
well, Ballybunion, that's where we have the Puck Fair, I guess, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's a great event.
Yeah. Goats and bachelors all at once. What can we say?
Yeah. Now we have coming up Pat Daly and the Ramblers for us, and Mary from Dunloe.
the top.
Pat Daly and the Ramblers singing about yet another festival, Mary from Dunlow. And of course the most famous beauty pageant, but beauty pageant with a difference, is the wonderful Rose of Tralee Festival.
That's right, Siobahn. I think that's sometime, that's over with now, I believe. Is it July?
As far as I know, I've lost all contact over here. I mean, I know a while ago on the show we interviewed the 3 girls who were going over to represent Chicago.
Yeah, well,
So,
this is Rose of Tralee is probably the best known here in Chicago, of course, next to the St. Patrick's Day Queen
Right.
contest.
And I know the girls who go over there have all said that they don't care whether they win or lose. It's a wonderful week.
It's
They
a
put
great
on such a
experience.
show for them.
It has to be a great experience. And in the future, we'd love to be able to do some taping over
Right.
there.
The atmosphere, I believe, is something like Mardi Gras in New Orleans. It's just Tralee is taken over for a day, and accommodation is completely booked up for months beforehand.
Yes, what do we have coming up next?
More music.
This next song now we'd like to do for you, it's a traditional song, and it's a song we'd like to do for you called The Month of January. Then Dan is going to take us off after that with a fine reel, one of my favourites, a tune called Drowsy Maggie. So here we go. 'Twas in the month of January, the snow laid on the ground. When over hills and valleys for pleasure I did go, 'twas there I spied a pretty fair maid with a soldier in her eye. She held a baby in her arms and bitterly did cry. Cruel was my father to bar the door on me, and cruel was my mother, this dreadful sight to see. And cruel was my own true love to change his mind for gold. And cruel was that winter's night that pierced my heart with cold. For the taller that the palm tree grows, the sweeter is the bard. And the fairer that young man speaks, the falser is his heart. He will kiss you and embrace you until he has you won. Then he will go away and leave you all for some other one. So come on, you pretty fair young maids, take warning unto me, and never try and build your nest upon the high oak tree, for the leaves they will all wither, and the branches will soon decay, and the beauties of the fair young man will all soon fade away. For the beauties of the fair young man will all soon fade away.
don't mind a few noises like that, and we're well used to that at home.
Makes it look live.
Okay. You know, friends, before we came out here at all, we were in Cork fairly recently, and we discovered that there's 10 or 11 guys from Cork here in the United States picking cotton, of all things. Now, they're not in Chicago. I'm told they're down in Kentucky, Tennessee. Now, we're sorry they can't be with us tonight, but we'd like to dedicate this next item to them. The Cork men in Kentucky, Tennessee. You know, I think they all come from Ballycotton in West Cork or somewhere like that, so that's the reason they went there in the first place. So, this is a fast-moving 95-mile-an-hour song, which features Christy on vocals here, and mandolin, and the bass man on the piano over there, and it tends to go so fast that it normally separates the boys from the men. Whoever you see sweating first, you'll know what category they're in.
I'm sweating already.
Here's a song, and the title is the one that appeals to me in a big way, particularly since I came to Chicago. Rolling in my sweet baby's arms.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Boy, go to work on the railway, ain't go to work on the farm. Gonna lay round a shack till the freight train gets back. Gonna roll in my sweet baby's arms. Roll in my sweet baby's arms.
Rolling now.
Roll in my sweet baby's arms.
Rolling.
Gonna lay round a shack till the freight train gets back. Gonna roll in my sweet baby's arms. My sister's a gingerbread maker.
I'll say.
My mother, she can sew and spin. My daddy's got a shirt in that old coal mine. How much the money roll in? Roll in my sweet baby's arms. Roll in my sweet baby's arms. Go lay round the shack till the freight train gets back. Gonna roll in my sweet baby's arms. How about listen to the piano player? Saturday night, Cork, all I was a locked up in jail. You rolled in the streets with another man. You wouldn't even get me out of bail. Rolling in the sweet baby's arms. Rolling in the sweet baby's arms. Go lay round the shack till the freight train gets back. Gonna roll in the sweet baby's arms. Sometimes to change in the weather. You bet. Sometimes to the change you see. Sometimes to the change of my own true love. There'll never be a change in me. Are you right? Rolling in the sweet baby's arms. Rolling in the sweet baby's arms. Gonna lay round the shack till the freight train gets back. Gonna roll in the sweet baby's arms. Piano. Play it like you mean it. Train gets back, gonna roll in the sweet baby's arms. Roll in the sweet baby's arms. Roll in the sweet baby's arms. shack till the freight train gets back. Gonna roll in the sweet baby's arms, oh Lord, roll in the sweet baby's arms.
You know, this month of August, the Apprentice Boys will be marching and celebrating the breaking of the siege of Derry. And of course, most of you know the Apprentice Boys are a predominantly Protestant organization. We'd like to just comment on the fact that there's so many people that have participated in the history of Ireland, and everybody assumes that it's a Protestant and Catholic issue in the north of Ireland today, and that is not the case, because so many Protestants have participated in the freedom of Ireland over the past history of Ireland, and it is a subject I think that requires some conversation, or at least some clarification.
Yeah,
Siobahn.
you know, you're absolutely right. It's so sad. As a visitor to America when I first came, people would always say, why are you guys killing each other over religion? And it's not the issue at all. I mean, Wolfe Tone, Cathal Brugha, the very first president of Ireland, Douglas Hyde, they
That's
were all
correct.
Protestants. There's no animosity against a religion. It's simply something which is, I suppose, been manipulated by the forces that be that want the status quo to remain.
That's true, and I guess if we have to find a culprit, we might as well be blunt enough to say that I guess it's British policies there have contributed to this for so many years.
Yeah, I don't think you have to look too hard to find that culprit at all.
No.
And you know, it's not just in the area of politics, in literature as well. Douglas Hyde was one of the premier Irish language writers. He wrote under an Irish pseudonym while he was writing his stuff.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
There's a lot to that history, which of course we cannot cover tonight, but it is a heavy subject that we would like to elaborate on in the future.
I think we will be returning to that later on.
Yeah. In the
especially.
meantime, we'd like to introduce you now to Mike Shevlin and the news of the evening.
Good evening. The annual Yates Summer School opened in Sligo last Sunday. The school, a gathering of Yates scholars from all over the world, meet in the county of the great poet's birth to discuss the themes of his work and the impact of his influence on the literature and current affairs of today. The school opened with an ecumenical service in the church at Drumcliff, where Yates is buried. The celebrant, Reverend Pat O'Neill, spoke on the theme of this year's school, which is Yates and Unity. Reverend O'Neill spoke of a time of growing fundamentalism in the world, of narrow sectarian definitions of life and nation, where William Butler Yeats might serve again as a guide and a mentor. He said Ireland had honored Yeats with the breezy till of its currency, but would prefer it if it honored him in a new currency of tolerance, in a peace won by the celebration of difficult energies and different images of identity. The school was officially opened by Mr. Douglas Gageby, a former editor of the Irish Times. Mr. Gageby said that Yeats, like most of his contemporaries and almost every politician in the state ever since, misjudged the situation in the North. Yeats had hoped Ireland would become a country with a liberated, unified personality. However, Mr. Gageby continued, he was not sure that a unified personality was what Ireland needed. Unity in diversity has been the orthodoxy of modern separatism, he pointed out. The Ireland that Yeats knew was different from that of today in one fundamental respect. It contained the mighty industrial city of Belfast. He said this state, based around Dublin, needs Belfast, and Belfast and the North could benefit from the qualities fostered in the Republic. Mr. Gageby said there was an urgent need for a pan-Irish culture humanitarian movement to establish the dignity and the right of existence for people of every strand of our heritage. The Yates School this year attracted 125 students. The school, which is in its 29th year, is becoming more popular every summer. Students this year traveled from the U.S., Europe, and there was also a surprisingly strong representation from Japan. Highlights of this year's school include a poetry workshop run by the Belfast poet Seamus Heaney and a production of Bosco Hogan's one-man show, I Am of Ireland, a piece on the poet's life which he co-wrote with Grania Yates. William Butler Yeats is the most well-known Anglo-Irish poet. He was a driving force in the Irish literary renaissance and was a co-founder of the Irish National Theatre, the Abbey. Cardinal O'Fee has spoken out on the latest series of IRA killings. Preaching at Armagh, the official seat of his primacy, Cardinal Lofi said the IRA was only promoting the cause of sectarianism with the unbelievable viciousness of its latest acts. The Catholic primate of all Ireland said he was deeply saddened by the attack on Protestants the previous week. It was appalling, he said, to see the Church of England clergy forced to return from the Lambeth Conference because of the murder of their people by others raised as Catholics. No cause can gain anything from the murder of fellow Irishmen and women except dishonor and disgrace, said the Cardinal. He called on all genuine Republicans to disassociate themselves with the IRA, asking them what the murders of the past week had to do with the objective of Wolfe Tone to unite Protestant, Catholic, and dissenters under the common cause, under the common name of Irishman. The Lambeth Conference of Anglican church leaders at Canterbury closed last Sunday. The conference has been the most highly publicized and controversial meeting of church leaders since Vatican II. The two main areas of controversy have been the debate over the ordination of female bishops and a resolution which expressed understanding for armed struggle in some parts of the world. The adoption of the resolution received the unrivaled publicity in the press, including one tabloid headline which reads, "Bishops Bless Terror." It was originally put forward by American Bishop Edward Jones of Indianapolis and Archbishop Desmond Tutu of Cape Town, South Africa. The first wording of the resolution expressed solidarity with fellow Anglicans and with all people of Northern Ireland in their suffering. However, objections were raised because there was no condemnation of violence included. An amended version in which the conference condemned all violence in the circumstances of Northern Ireland was then passed unanimously. Dissension over the impending ordination of women had not been settled by the end of the conference. Nobel Prize winner Bishop Tutu described the Lambeth Conference as a totally untidy but very lovable family. Dublin City has been in the news a lot this year as she celebrates her 1000th birthday, but a commemorative gathering of a different kind took place last week as people assembled in Marion Square to mark the 43rd anniversary of the bombing of Hiroshima. The occasion, organized by the Irish chapter of the Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament, took place around the cherry peace tree planted by the group at their first assembly. Dublin's Lord Mayor was represented by Councillor Owen Ryan, and poet Des Egan read some of his poems. Tuesday was officially Nagasaki Day in Cork. There was a wreath-laying ceremony at the city's Peace Park at the South Mall, and Japanese lanterns symbolic of the people who were killed were floated down the River Lee. This month marks the 17th anniversary of the introduction of internment in the north of Ireland. Internment without trial was implemented under the Faulkner government in August 1971. A song highlighting the injustice and gross violation of due process which this law encompassed was released by folk group The Barleycorn. The song, The Men Behind the Wire, was subsequently banned by the Republic's government of the time, led by Taoiseach Jack Lynch. However, the song went on to become #1 in the Irish charts and remained there for a record number of weeks. The Barleycorn are visiting Chicago this week. The group is internationally known for its proficiency in folk traditional music, and their last #1 hit, The Fields of Athenry. Barleycorn will be playing at the Abbey Pub this Wednesday, August 17th. Tickets are $10 each, and more information is available from the Abbey. That's our news for tonight. I'm Mike Shevlin.
This is Eamonn Kelly returning to you with the weekly review of Irish sports. It is nice to be back with you after spending several weeks in Ireland, and while there I took the opportunity to attend some major hurling and football games, none of which could be described as a classic. My thanks to Pat Looney for the fine job he did in reporting those games and other sports to you in my absence. In Gaelic games, all provincial championships have been completed. In hurling, the stage is all set for the All-Ireland final, with Tipperary meeting Galway at Croke Park on September the 4th. The first of the two All-Ireland football semi-finals took place at windswept Croke Park yesterday. Ulster champions Monaghan came to Croke Park with a huge following and with the hope and confidence of dethroning last year's All-Ireland finalist Cork. However, Monaghan failed in their efforts as Cork won rather easily, with the final score Cork 1 goal and 14 points, Monaghan 8 points. Monaghan, who won the toss, decided to play against the wind in the first half with the hope of containing the Cork men in the early stages of the game. In the opening minutes of this game, Monaghan's determination and spirit kept Cork at bay. But as time went on, Cork started to dominate at centre field and provide their forwards with a good supply of the ball. Despite Cork's dominance in the first half, they could only manage 8 points in that period while compiling 13 wides. Monaghan, in one of their few attacks on the Cork goal, only managed 1 point in the opening 35 minutes. Highlight of the first half was a great save by Monaghan goalkeeper Paddy Linden from a penalty by Cork star forward Larry Tompkins. Monaghan, who were down 4 points at this stage, seemed to regain their confidence and applied enough pressure which resulted in Larry Tompkins sending 2 well-placed frees wide of the post. Now let's review these moments with Ger Canning of Television Éireann.
At the other end against McEnany, but it was Tompkins with that long, well-struck pass. Down it went, and Dave Barry flicked it through to Dennis Allen, who was grounded by the goalkeeper, and no question about the decision. Larry Tompkins is going to be the penalty taker. Paddy Linden, the Monaghan goalkeeper. It's 4 points to 0. Saved! Oh, a brilliant save by Paddy Linden. Well, he made amends for the error, and he has yet to be beaten in this year's championship. It was a gilt-edged opportunity for the man they called the equaliser last season, but it was well read by Linden. Needing a score badly to give themselves a bit of encouragement. Eamonn McEnany might be the one to supply that. Through it goes towards Bernie Murray. Their first chance, back to Ray McCarron on the left boot. It goes, and it's over the bar. It's taken Monaghan 28 minutes to score. Ray McCarron has done the needful, and they're back in business.
With 6 minutes to go before half-time, Eamonn McEnany had the opportunity for a great run to score a Monaghan goal, but great defensive work by Cork's Shea Fahey prevented the major score. Again, let's go to Ger Canning of RTE for his description.
And well, it's Declan Loughman, once again, taking this ball forward. That will have given them a bit of encouragement. And Stephen Wright trying to get away from Dennis Roach, and he succeeds! Oh, saved by Maguire! The referee's whistle has sounded in any case, and it's going to be a free out. It wouldn't have counted because the referee saw that White was trying to steal an advantage. Well, this was it again. I must say it was hard to see a foul by White from that position.
With Monaghan trailing by 7 points, that's 8 points to 1, as they started the second half, there was every indication that a second period was in the offering, or should we say a great second period was in the offering, given the strong breeze in Monaghan's favour. Monaghan did start the second half in a blaze of glory and scored 2 points in the opening moments. In fact, the first 5 minutes of the second half was by far the most exciting period of the game, again described by Ger Canning.
Eamonn McEnany from Castleblaney didn't kick a point in the Ulster final, was replaced in that game. And there it is, Monaghan get their second point within the first minute of the second half. This time Ray McCarron is going to be the one from that camera then behind the goal. You'll be able to judge his angle. And that's on its way, and they've got another point, a third point, a second from McCarron. Now just 5 the margin.
Disaster struck Monaghan in the 6th minute of the second half as Dave Barry scored a great Cork goal. That did have a slight touch of controversy attached to it.
Jerry McCarville just gets it down to Brendan Murray. Runs into 2 Cork players, then releases it. Barry copy here. Thought about a pass inside for Dave Barry. Good position. Oh, great goal! Cork, 6 minutes into the second half. Meanwhile, back in the middle of the field, Brendan Murray is receiving attention. But what a shot! Brendan Murray is the player receiving attention. The referee there being spoken to by Kieran Murray, Brendan's brother. This was Barry. Oh, right into the top corner.
Monaghan never recovered from that shock, and Cork dominated for the remainder of the game. In summary, Cork well deserved their 9-point victory in a game that can be very best described as very poor. No doubt the Cork forwards, 5 of whom did not participate in last year's final, will have to improve before they take on either Meath or Mayo in the All-Ireland final next month. Incidentally, the Meath versus Mayo game will be televised live from Croke Park, Dublin at the Irish Heritage Centre next Sunday morning and starting at 9 o'clock. And incidentally also, this will be the only venue for the telecast, as the game will not be televised at Gaelic Park. So those of you who wish to see this big game between Mayo and Meath should go to the Irish Heritage Centre in Chicago next Sunday morning. So this is Eamonn Kelly until next week, saying goodbye from Irish Sports.
You know, it just struck me listening to the news there that beforehand, when we were talking about Cathal Brugha and Douglas Hyde and all these wonderful people in Irish history, it's so easy for us to talk about them because, of course, you and I both grew up listening to these names, studying the history, and they were more or less a part of one's household. History is a way of life in Ireland. But for people who don't know that much about it, there really is a need for some sort of an archive for Irish people here in America, which, when I mentioned it to you, you said that there were some plans for that coming up.
That's true, Siobahn, there is indeed, and it is being planned at the Irish American Heritage Centre. You know, for over 100 years now, there's been Irish organizations in Chicago that have worked at various, I guess, things that concern the Irish community in Chicago. But in all these years, there's never been any place where they could hang their hat, so to speak. You know, for example, various groups have collected various books and things of Irish interest and culture, and never had a place to put them. You know, they stored them in their basements into various things. But now we have at the Irish American Heritage Centre a plan to build a beautiful library there, and that's going to accommodate, I guess at very least, we'll have in excess, I guess, of 100 books from every county in Ireland. And that, of course, is just now beginning, but we have to finish the library off. But, of course, a lot of people have collected books through the years that they'd like to contribute to us over there. And it's very exciting. It's something that will be on the agenda over the next couple of years.
It's wonderful, wonderful news. And, of course, so many people came over here leaving everything behind, because when people first started emigrating to America, there was absolutely no way of going back. Another idea would be in the library to build up a genealogy of family history.
Yes, and there is a genealogy committee at the center, and that's being worked on, which will go hand in hand, archives as well, and a museum. I guess there's also a collection there now of Irish Beliek, which is probably the biggest collection in the world, which was donated to the Irish American Heritage Centre. So I guess when we first looked at the building and said, my God, look at how big this is and how can we manage it, we're beginning to realize now that we have some things we can pretty well count on being there, and I guess the space is going to run out before we're through planning.
I guess the Irish were always good at filling space. It's one of our best things.
That's for sure.
So we'll keep you posted on that, any developments coming up. And if you would like to donate anything to the library department at the Heritage Centre, please feel free, because it's always welcome. And when something's in a library, it's there for everyone to share. It's not stuck at home on a personal shelf. And you know, you can retain ownership, private ownership, while displaying it in the library there. So
just to take advantage of that, Siobahn, I would say we should say the phone number is 282-7045, because if you want to take advantage of the various activities at the center, including the library, it would be good to become a member.
I suspect somehow the way you roll it off, you phone that number once or twice yourself.
That's for sure, 282-7045.
Now this.
Hi, this is Tom O'Donnell with Irish Television Chicago, and our guest tonight is Tom Doherty with the Young Irish Fellowship.
That's correct.
Nice to see you, Tom.
Nice to see you, Tom.
Now, Tom, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the Young Irish Fellowship Association.
Well, the Young Irish Fellowship Association was born approximately 8 years ago. It's a group of 2,200 people between the ages of 21 and 35. We originally were formed to throw a St. Patrick's Day party annually, and we would take the proceeds from that party and distribute it to various Irish American groups here in Chicago. Now we have monthly events, and the membership has continued to grow. It started out with approximately 5 members back in 1980, and now we're up to 2,200. We'll probably be at 2,500 by the end of the year.
My gosh. Well, how Tom, did you get involved with the...
Initially, I got involved. I went to a St. Patrick's Day party at the Germanian Club, and met a number of fine people, and decided at that time to become a member. And I've been involved as a board member and also a party host for several years, and I was just recently elected.
Now you have meetings once a month?
We have meetings once a month between the board and the officers to plan our monthly parties. For instance, this month we're having a cruise on Lake Michigan for approximately 250 people. August 26th, we'll have about 300 people out to see a Bear game. And then in September, we have our annual professional and businessmen's dinner, where we honor somebody in the Irish American community who has made a contribution to the Irish American cause. An Oktoberfest we'll have out at Gaelic Park, out at 147th and Central, and we anticipate having about 1,000 members out there for an evening. We've been supportive of Gaelic Park from its inception, and we've also been involved in raising funds for the Irish American Heritage Center. This year also we're going to have a Thanksgiving Eve party downtown at the Bismarck Hotel. You know, obviously you guys party, but it's all for a good cause, and you give to a lot of associations, a lot of charities. How does one get involved in this with Young Irish Fellowship? Well, it's fairly simple. You simply send us a letter indicating your interest in the organization, and we'll send you an application. We have a $15 annual dues to cover cost of mailings and postage.
Okay.
But other than that, there's no strict requirements.
Okay, and where would one send this?
You would send it to the Young Irish Fellowship, P.O. Box 2363, Chicago, Illinois 60690.
Okay.
We also have a hotline that has a recording of our upcoming events, which is 902-1943.
Okay. Now, I know that you yourself are a first-generation Irish. Where are you from, Tom?
Originally, my family's from Mayo, and we're having a trip to Ireland going from August 25th to September 5th, and it'll be my first chance to get back to Ireland, and I think I'm the only member of my family that has not been there.
Well, I'm sure you're going to have a wonderful time, and that's going to be affiliated with the associations.
Yes, we're doing that. We're sponsoring a trip along with the Irish Fellowship and Old St. Patrick's Church. We anticipate having approximately 100 people going.
Great.
And anybody who's interested in that should call 902-1943.
Okay, great. Well, I really think that you're doing a lot of good, and I think that people should think about joining, and because of the good that you do, and you have fun doing a lot of good for a lot of people. So thank you very much, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
I appreciate it. This is Tom O'Donnell, Irish Television Chicago. Back to you.
Good evening. I'm Bridge Looney, and I'd like to share with you the upcoming events at the Irish American Heritage Center. Remember, the Irish American Heritage Centre is here to serve the community. Why not plan your next party at the Irish American Heritage Centre? There are several party rooms available and the prices are reasonable. For more information, call the centre daily between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. The phone number is 282-7035.
Well, now it's time for some more music. So let's get back to Pat Daly and the Ramblers.
This time we're going to continue with Jerry Ahi on vocals with the Little Girl from Omaha.
True as the moon and the stars above, I've fallen head over heels in love with my pretty little girl from Omaha in the county of Tyrone. A sweet little girl's an ocean bound there, just as pretty in morning, and I'm just to every road that I have known. But I guess that I'll be out of bounds, go there between those northern towns, my little girl from Omaha in the county of Tyrone. She wears my ring, she tells her friends she's gonna marry me, and best of all, she tells them all, happy as can be. Oh, lucky me, I don't know what she's done to me, but there's nothing else my eyes can see but a pretty little girl from Omaha in the county of Tyrone. Was down in the south in old Chamore, I call it get old dress she wore. She stole on show there all alone. I guess it was my lucky day when she came there on holiday, my pretty little girl from Omaha in the county of Tyrone. A sweet little girl, so no she bound there, just as pretty in morning and just to every road that I have known. But I guess that I'll be out of bounds, go there between those northern towns, my pretty little girl from Omaha in the county of Tyrone. She wears my ring, she tells her friends she's gonna marry me, and best of all, she tells them all, happy as can be. Oh, lucky me, I don't know what she's done to me, but there's nothing else my eyes can see but a pretty little girl from Omaha in the county of Tyrone. My pretty little girl from Omaha in the county of Tyrone.
Well, we're at the end of another show this evening. Thank you for joining in, and Siobhan, I'll be making a trip to Ireland before I see you again on the show.
Well, I certainly envy you, and I hope you have a good time. You know, you're going to be there for both the horse show and the RDS and the golf championship.
Looking forward to it. Hopefully you'll be back in time for the Irish Fest in Milwaukee.
And hopefully if he isn't, you can tolerate me.
See you all there. So long.
Bye.
Our next song is a Scots tune called I Once Loved a Lass, a beautiful song of unrequited love that Mike will sing for you.
I once loved a lass, I loved her say well, and I hated all others that spoke of her ill. But now she's rewarded me well for my love. Now she's gone to be wed to another. When I saw my love to the church door, the bride and bridemaidens, they made a fine show, and I followed on with my heart full of woe. Now she's gone to be wed to another. When I saw my love sit down to dine, I sat down beside her and I poured out the wine, and I drank to the last that should have been mine. Now she's gone to be wed to another. Pies of the forest, they ask it of me, how many strawberries grow in the salt sea. I answer them back with a tear in my eye, how many ships sails in your forest?